Today we're going to do a very short, very important, very yet simple sutta. Now remember, whenever we study a sutta, an early sutta, we are listening to this teaching directly from the Buddha himself, in the sense that the teaching is what he has given us. It's put in words so that in such a way it can be preserved right down to our times. When you listen carefully, you will notice knowledge and wisdom arising in you, and this knowledge and wisdom deepening. Sometimes we may not think we know, but our lives have proven it, that we want peace, we want to keep the precepts, we have kindness. So these are things we got to remind ourselves. Moments like this is when that energy, that strength, that beauty, that openness and freedom will come to us. The kindness will come to us. Today's sutta is entitled Avijjā Pahāna Sutta 2. Avijjā is the opposite of vijjā. Vijjā means knowledge. Very close to the English wit. Okay, in German also very close. Another word, knowledge. Avijjā is ignorance, non-knowledge, non-vijjā. So this is used in a simple way, meaning knowledge. Of course, in this case, in this context, it's spiritual knowledge, Buddhist knowledge, dhamma knowledge. Pahāna, notice the long R in the middle, Pahāna. Okay. So this first A is a one count, this is two counts, and then one count again. Pahāna, Sutta 2. There is Sutta 1. Sutta 1 is very similar. The first part, opening part, is very similar to this Sutta 2. The Discourse on Abandoning Ignorance, number 2. Now, this comes from chapter 35 of the Samyutta Nikaya, Connected Sayings, S35.80, Sutta number 80, 35.80. So this is the Sutta number. You can remember if you want, or you can remember the name, Avijjā Pahāna Sutta, or and remember SD 16.9, where to locate it, to get the translation and the notes. The theme is how to let go of all things. How to let go of all things. Now, this teaching is sometimes called the brief advice on liberation through the destruction of ignorance. The Buddha gives a brief teaching on how to overcome ignorance. And this is the teaching given to Moggallana in the Moggallana Pachala Sutta A 7.56. Right? So it's the same teaching. You find this kind of teaching found here and there to different monks, different lay people. And now it has come down to us. So long as we are open to the truth, that we desire to know the true teaching, we refuse to give up to our difficulties, bad karma. We want to know what the Buddha taught. It will come to us, and the wisdom will grow, the strength will grow in you. So you can also read this Moggallana Sutta, where he used his big toe to shake the whole building because there's some monks who are unmindful inside the building. So this is the Sutta, Pachala Sutta. Pachala means shaking the building, right? A.758. But today we are doing this S35.80. The words are amazingly simple, but the teachings are very deep indeed. Okay? I'll just read to you the summary from the Moggallana Sutta first. Okay, let's just go up a bit, please. The page go up a bit. Yeah, okay. It's a section, page 11. Okay, this is what the Buddha says to Moggallana. In what way? Sorry, this is a question first and then the teaching. Moggallana asked the Buddha, In what way, Bhante? In brief, is a monk liberated through the destruction of ignorance. That is, one who has reached total perfection, total security from bondage, a total holy life, a total consummation, highest amongst gods and humans. So this is the style Moggallana uses. Later we will see a monk, an unnamed monk in our present sutta, asking the same question in a simpler way, in the way we would ask. All right, so the Buddha answers in this case to Moggallana, who is very wise. Dear Moggallana, a monk has learned that nothing is worth clinging to. So this is the key idea. Nothing is worth clinging to. This whole sutta explains this. It's a reflection on letting go, on the spirit of renunciation, real renunciation, not merely changing clothes or changing hairstyle, but really practicing letting go, even as a layman, even despite our difficulties and struggles, and so on. And Moggallana, a monk, has learned that nothing is worth clinging to. And remember, whenever you see the word a monk here in a sutta, this is like a doorway. The word teaches, the Buddha teaches the monk, but the monk represents anyone who's listening to the teaching, anyone who's meditating. So this is you, this is us, the listener. So when we learn that nothing is worth clinging to, thus he directly knows all things. All right. So from learning, you have this direct knowledge, direct experience. That is why learning is important. It gives you direct experience. Of course, some people may say, oh, but if I read a book, it is second-hand, third-hand knowledge. That's true. But then when you listen carefully to what you have learned, you reflect on it, then you begin to experience directly, especially through your meditation. Things were simpler in the Buddha's time. They don't use books. You go to a teacher, you listen directly to the teacher. In a sense, it's just like right now, what's happening now. I'm teaching you, you're listening. I learned from the sutta, I teach myself. So now that sutta is passed on to you. So now you directly know nothing is worth clinging to. You know for yourself. Having directly known the nature of all things, he fully understands everything. Now notice this very interesting sentence. The nature of all things, he fully understands everything. What's the difference between all things and everything? Why is it used in this way? All things is sabba dhamma or sabbe dhamma, okay? Everything is simply sabba. He directly knows the nature of all things. Here, all things refers to sankharas, to whatever exists in this world, whatever things there are, and whatever existence there is. Right? For example, whatever you have, something that is material, they are impermanent. Even our own body, our own breath, even our ideas, which are non-material, are also of the nature to change. They come, they go. So that's the nature of all things in this world. Now, when we understand that, we also understand, we fully understand everything. Now, all things here refers to what is sense-based, as taught in the Sabba Sutta, famous Sabba Sutta, which is a short sutta, and which is found in this translation of in this SD series. You can look up yourself easily. All these suttas are listed and indexed. It's just less than a page long. All that we can know are our six senses and the objects. Whatever can be sensed. That is meaning all things. We understand how we experience things. But everything here fully understands everything. Here, everything sabba, that means it includes nirvana also. We begin to understand the unconditioned things also. So you have the conditioned things, which are sankharas, which are the things which we sense through our senses. We directly know it. When we experience it, we see it as rising, falling, impermanent. Then we understand, fully understand how this relates to nirvana, we see this deeper idea. All right, let's go a bit more, next page, continue a bit more. Okay, there you are. So here, having fully understood everything, he understands whatever feelings there are, whether pleasant, painful, or neutral, no, neither painful nor pleasant. Right, so we understand the nature of feelings also, right? As regards to those feelings, he dwells contemplating impermanence in them. He dwells contemplating dispassion, meaning fading of lust in them, how desire goes away. He dwells contemplating ending, here meaning ending of suffering in them. He dwells contemplating letting go of defilements. Letting go here meaning let go of Mara, let go of samsara. We are no more attached to this world, in a sense that we are free. When we dwell contemplating impermanence in this way, all this I mentioned above, then we are not troubled, we are at peace. Okay? And then when you're at peace, you're not agitated, not troubled by anything in the world, you see nirvana for yourself. Then, okay, this 11.6 talk about arahathood. For the arahat, birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, done what is to be done. There is no more of this state of being. This is the highest truth. He's talking to the Buddha is teaching Moggallana in this case. So this is the deeper teaching, if you like. But today we're going to look at the teaching that's given to lay people, to us especially, so that we can understand and practice for ourselves. Remember, whenever we have been hearing the Dhamma, but the problem is we also forget. So we have to keep on listening to the Dhamma, and then the whole idea is to reinforce, remind us, bring us back to the path to see what really is true reality. Okay, now let's look at the sutta now on page 105 further down. Once again, just to remind you before I forget, make sure you have the latest version, which is dated today, by the way. It's already uploaded for you on our page here. So there are some important new notes given to you there. Avijjā Pahāna Sutta 2, the second discourse on abandoning ignorance, S35.80. Then a certain monk approached the Blessed One, saluted him, and then sat down at one side. We're not told who this monk is, right? So it can be anyone. This shows that it doesn't matter who, but the person wants to learn the Dhamma. It can be anyone. It can be even us. We can be the one asking the question. Seated thus at one side, he said this to the Blessed One. Bhante, is there the one thing through whose abandoning ignorance is abandoned by a monk, and true knowledge arises? What's interesting in this question, the answer is already there. All right? But there are some interesting words here. For example, he knows what he's asking. This person has been listening to the Buddha. He knows the terms. The one thing in Pali, ekadhamma. It doesn't sound very much in English. But when you say ekadhamma, it really sounds profound. The one truth. Why is it one? Just because it doesn't have a second. This is very clear. It's one true reality, one real truth, not fiction. Fictions can be true. You watch a story, you say, "Oh, did this happen?" Then it's true, something like that. But here, it's really out there, really in here. The one Dhamma, through whose abandoning. In other words, when you understand this, you let it go. Ignorance will go away. Avijjā. Okay, and if you let go of the R here, you cancel out the R, you get vijjā, true knowledge. Okay. Of course, vijjā can be translated simply as knowledge, but in this case, it's used in a Buddhist context. It means true knowledge, vijjā. Just as we say, the Buddha is vijjā charana sampanno, one who is accomplished in wisdom and conduct. Vijjā is wisdom, you can translate as wisdom also, and charana, conduct. Here, wisdom and conduct are contrasted as knowledge as well as theory, knowledge as practice. What the Buddha knows, he experiences. What he experiences, he knows. And he teaches us this knowledge through experience. So this is the question, right? So this whole sutta is based on this one question. And the Buddha replies, says, yes, there is the one thing, bhikshu, through whose abandoning, ignorance is abandoned by a monk, and true knowledge arises. So just say yes, the long way of saying yes, all right? And then the monk continues and asks, and what is that one thing, Bhante? So you see here, there's this very important connection, this dialogue going on. Then the Buddha repeats the answer. Ignorance, bhikshu, is the one thing through whose abandoning ignorance is abandoned by a monk, and true knowledge arises. Again, here you may say, oh, isn't this a tautology? We have big words, to simply dismiss a very wonderful statement by the Buddha. We should instead ask, what does Buddha mean by saying this? We have people who are really good scholars, but the best scholars are those who look at a passage and understand it for what it is. Then you've got the good scholars who follow the rules of scholarship and say, oh, this is the tautology, the Buddha is just repeating himself and it's nothing much really. And of course, by saying that, you dismiss this teaching, and there goes wisdom, all right? I mean, you pass your exam, you get paid, and then you retire and then do nothing, So we miss a lot of things because of that. But if you are a true scholar, you look at the Dhamma, you respect it, you love it, you feel joy in it, it will be there with you right to the very end, to the last breath. As long as you breathe, the Dhamma is there. You breathe the Dhamma. Dhamma in, Dhamma out. So here, why is the Buddha repeating this, or appears to repeat? Here, the repetition emphasizes the truth. That's what it is. It is this ignorance. By letting go of ignorance is how you gain non-ignorance, which is knowledge. This monk, he's not so sure. So he uses the word ignorance. So the Buddha says, that's it. You let go of ignorance. When you let go of ignorance, there is knowledge. There is wisdom. Okay? So this is where there is a note I've given below. I said, ignorance breeds ignorance. And this cycle drives craving, which feeds greed, hatred, and delusion, which bring on suffering. Hence, the one thing, ikadama, at the root of it all, that is ignorance, which needs to be uprooted. Right? So it is, once we uproot ignorance, then wisdom arises. So wisdom, ignorance works with craving. Ignorance pushes us to crave for this, crave for that, and this craving expresses itself through greed, hatred, and delusion. Greed, we want something. Hatred, we show this unhappy attitude when we cannot get what we want. So it is related to greed. They go together. Greed and hatred, like and dislike. And delusion is what keeps us going, because we don't know what's going on. So we keep on doing it, keep on doing it. Sometimes you can see this dhamma everywhere. Even let's say you stand on the traffic light and you find the traffic light's already, the little button that is red, you see, and you don't need to do anything. Some people, they keep on pressing that traffic light button many times. They think because of that they might speed up the red light. Nothing happens. I mean, it doesn't work that way, see, because there is a timing there, and the traffic light will go red by itself. So this craving, I want this light to go faster. I want this light to turn right faster. You go on banging the button, but it doesn't happen that way. That's ignorance. So you have craving and ignorance going together. Even at that moment you look at the man banging the button, just smile. Just smile. Say, oh, wow, that's the Buddha's teaching, you know. This man is teaching us dhamma. So don't hate the man. Don't feel angry with him. Just say he's teaching us dhamma, and you feel happy that way. So there you are. This is that line, right? Okay, let's see what happens next. So this is only the beginning. Okay, let's look at 5, section 5 now. Of course, this is just a short answer. So this monk wants to know more. But Bhante, how should a monk know? How should he see for ignorance to be abandoned by him and for true knowledge to arise? Now, what's amazing here, you see I've highlighted the word how, right? This whole sutta is based on this one word, how. How do we abandon ignorance? The rest of the sutta is an expansion on this one single word, how. Of course, I seem to be oversimplifying it. You should read the whole thing, because how, whatever, you know. So how do we do it basically? All right. Now, of course, here I have put some headings for you. One sees all forms as other, and so on. So after form, your sound, smell, taste, touch, and so on. So here, again, remember, don't have that dismissive, cancel attitude, right? We say, oh, I know this. I know the Buddha is going to talk about these forms and feelings, you know. Okay, I've read this already. I know this already. Now, once you do that, you don't know. You remember something and you have forgotten it. And if you say, I know, you should be able to give a talk. You should be able to talk about it in a very deep and profound way, but I don't think you can. So you really need to listen again. Okay, here we go again, right? And then you find there's something new that comes to you. You don't just think you know, you really know it. There is this direct experience. So let's look at the Buddha's answer now. Normally here the Buddha will say, monks, listen carefully. I'm going to teach you. Pay full attention, right? So this is what the Buddha is going to say. So this is section 6, the whole section 6. In fact, this is the main section. This section has got brackets 1 to 6. And then the sutta ends with a short number 7. All right. So we're going to reflect on each one of these 6 sense experience and see how, or rather, how we experience it and what the Buddha means by the teaching. Let's look at 6 brackets 1. This is the key verse. You have to really pay full attention to this. Look very carefully. And you find there are lots of notes here, right? 24, 25, 26, 27. So that's why the notes are put here. This for you to prepare and study. Make sure you see this number 1 and you understand this first verse, first paragraph, and the rest will follow. It's easier for you to understand when you look at the rest. And the keywords are emboldened for you. When they reappear, it is then underlined, right? Otherwise, important phrases are repeated. They are shown in italics. Just to remind you they're the same words to help you understand better. Here, bhikshu. Here means in this teaching. Bhikshu, a monk has learned that nothing is worth clinging to. All right, this learned is a modern word. If you translate the sutta literally, here bhikshu, a monk has heard that nothing is worth clinging to. But if I were to translate as heard, in our modern reading, we will see it as rather narrow. We just see it as listening. So a broader term is learned. In the Buddha's time, someone with great learning is called someone who has heard much. Today, we would say well-read, right? But in Buddha's time, it is said well heard. I mean, it's learned. We learn something. Learn, that means something new to us, and we have seen it. Nothing is worth clinging to. Okay, nothing is worth clinging to. There is a note 24. Now, this 24 gives you the full sentence. You don't have to look at it, I'll just tell you. What's important is this: nothing is worth clinging to. The Pali is sabbe dhamma nalang abhinive saya. Sabbe dhamma. Sabbe dhamma. Okay. Now, sabbe dhamma means all things. All things are not worth clinging to. That's a literal translation, Pali style. All right. But when you put it into idiomatic English, into good normal English, we have to say nothing is worth clinging to. Now, what's interesting here is that I make use of four main texts, four main manuscripts from the Burmese, the Sinhalese, the Thai, and the European Pali editions. Okay, so here in the Pali of the Burmese, Sinhalese, and Siamese or Thai, you have the word sabbe dhamma. But in the European Pali, the European Sutta version, only the Dhamma is mentioned. Dhamma nalang abhinive sati. Of course, it's understood when Dhamma here means all Dhammas. Okay, so there are minor variations like this, which we can explain, and it doesn't cut off the meaning. So this is where there's one good thing about the Pali text is that we are not so much word-based as we are meaning-based. So we have no problem with one word missing and so on, because we know the sense of the sutta is still there, whether it is sabbe dhamma or just dhamma. Okay, it translates as nothing is worth clinging to. Of course, slowly as we go through this sutta, we begin to understand what's the meaning of nothing, all things, everything, right? So this is a deeper understanding of the five aggregates. So once again, just a quick summary. All things refers to sankharas, all the things in this world that exist, conditioned things. Whereas everything also includes nirvana, right? We understand nirvana also in due course, of course. All right, so this learned person, first of all, learn, like you and I, we have learned that nothing is worth clinging to. We learn it on the word level first. Just we know the words. Nothing is worth clinging to. And some people, they've been hearing this and they say, what do you mean? And nothing is worth clinging to, right? And then that's when it'd be wonderful to be able to answer them. Very often we just remain silent. We don't know anything. We don't know how to answer. And that's sort of sad, isn't it? Okay, so here the Buddha is not silent, doesn't stop in the first line here. He goes on, he says, and having thus learned that nothing is worth clinging to, he directly knows all things. He directly knows. Okay, this Pali is Sutta. This one directly knows. The word is Avijjanati. Avijjanati. Directly know for yourself. You say, oh, okay, now I see this, I accept this, I understand this. Directly know, that's the meaning. Okay. Although you're not awakened yet, but this is your direct experience. When you come for this kind of study, you are directly knowing something, but you must be mindful of it. And then you go deeper. All right. So these are levels of learning, by the way. So what happens when you directly know something? You don't stop there. You further investigate. Next stage, third stage, if you like. Having directly known all things, he fully understands everything. So this time you fully understand you have new eyes and you see more broadly. You begin to apply this understanding to all your experiences. So you don't just see the things of the world. You don't just see the breath. You begin to notice, oh, this breath comes in, goes out. This breath is teaching me nothing is worth clinging to. You cannot cling to it. It comes, it goes. That's the only way you can live. You cannot say, oh, this is my breath. I want to hold my breath. I want to keep my breath. You can't. I mean, we will die if we hold our breath. We got to let it go. Then we live. We let it go. Then we learn. We learn by letting go of ignorance, letting go of the past. Then we learn new things. So then we understand everything. Here meaning things which are not tangible, things which are not sense-based, things which are beyond the senses, beyond samsara even, including nirvana, right? So we fully understand everything. So that's the difference. All things, everything. Having fully understood everything, he sees all signs as other, anyato. Okay, now this is a bit tricky. No? We go the next step. So what is meant by fully understanding everything? The Buddha says, he sees all things as other. Notice the words are so simple here. No deep philosophy. I mean, no deep philosophical terms, but the teaching is really profound. He sees all signs as other. Now, again, here, if you see different translations, you will find some translators translate it as differently. He sees all signs differently. Well, it's not wrong to say it differently, but it's not satisfactory. Yeah, of course, the translations are different, you know. So what if we see things differently? But when we translate as other, the meaning goes deeper, as you will soon see. You know? He sees all signs as other. This is part of the definition of non-self. Normally, the three characteristics apply to all things. All right, they don't apply to everything, but they apply to all things because the three characteristics don't apply to nirvana. All right, so here everything is impermanent. What is impermanent changes. It becomes other. There you are. So I'm trying to remind us of this important teaching. You must remember this as other. Now the question is, what do we mean by other here? Now I'm just going to read through the rest of this passage and then we'll take a break, then I will explain this meaning after the break. So don't come late, don't miss after the break. Remember this word anyato is really deep. If you don't understand this teaching, just remember this one word, anyato, other, and look up the passage on this. Then you get some wisdom there. Note 27 and in the introduction also. So what's the meaning? He sees all things as other. This is the meaning here, all the rest of the passage. He sees the I as other. The Pali word is chakku, for I. He sees forms, or rupa, as other. He sees I consciousness as other. He sees eye contact as other. Okay, so I'm going to leave it just as it is for a while. I want to invite you to let it float around in your mind. What does it mean? I have a feeling when you say the eye forms, eye consciousness contact is other, when I experience of it, it is other, you have some idea what's going on, but what is it? It's going to come to you this evening if you listen carefully. I will come back to this. Let me finish the teaching first. Whatever that is pleasant or painful or neutral that arises on account of eye contact as condition, he sees that too as other. All right, so all these are form. These 4 lines, they represent form, and this line represents feeling, all right? And they are all conditioned. When you see the word condition to be sankhara, they have to be seen as other. This is the third characteristic, non-self. Simple way of saying it is non-self, but I'm going to explain it in a while. So just before we have a break, just look at the Pali words. The eye, chakku. This is the conscious eye. There are other words for chakku, the akhi. Okay? This is for the eye that is conscious. Forms, rupa. Eye consciousness, chakku vijnana. Eye contact, chakku sampassa. This one is when the experience arises, leading to perception. Pleasant, painful, neutral. Pleasant, sukha. Dukkha, painful. Dukkham masukha. Dukkham, you see, not painful, not pleasant. Okay, this is how the Pali is structured. Dukkham masukha. You pronounce as dukkham masukha. Okay, join it up. No? So English, we say pleasant or painful or neutral. Of course, if you want to be literal, you say pleasant or painful or neither pleasant nor painful. It's quite a mouthful when you say that, right? So I think in modern terms, it's better to put simply it's neutral. Okay, so I will come back to this after a short break. Okay, so here in this verse 6, the Buddha begins with our first of the 6 sense spaces, the eye. Whatever we see is always other than what we think we see, right? Because light takes a few seconds to reach the eye. So by the time we see it, you're looking at the past. It is a very famous explanation. You look at the star, the light that comes to you already left the star long ago. So it's other, it's something else. It's not really there. So you got to start there with understanding how knowledge works. Knowledge is change. It is this changing that brings us wisdom. Understanding the idea of change and experiencing change itself. All the things in our life are like that, right? Now we're talking about form, we're talking about the body. Takes food, for example. I mean, you can't just place a bowl of food in front of you, like offering the ancestors, and then you think something's good is going to happen to you about it. You can't. You eat the food, you consume it, you digest it, it goes inside you, and then there is this change, and then the energy is absorbed, and then you grow, you change, and then it passes out as waste material. So there is this process of change. Learning, of course, is more pleasant. Like learning, you learn something and then you displace your old misunderstandings, the old ignorance. Something new arises. So we must be willing to change. We must not fear to change. Meaning, we notice there are some old habits we have which are negative. We let go of that. Then positive habits, happy habits, joyful habits, liberating habits will grow in us, right? So that's, we learn, we become better by changing. And so you can talk in that way. So that's the meaning of this reflection on impermanence. It is change for the better. Of course, there are change which are painful, like we have good friends and we miss each other, they leave us. But we're talking about the positive change, the understanding of this true reality. All right, so all this, if you have time in your meditation, use this reflection, use this understanding, and reflect on the various aspects of your experiences. Just take the eye, and then the forms that arise from the eye consciousness, right? Sometimes as you're driving through the city, you see you're conscious of different things and how they change. And eye contact, the moment of experiencing something, and then how feeling arises, pleasant, painful, neutral, how all these change. Everything is never the same. They change. Now look at number 2 now, sounds. Okay, let's go up a bit more for number 2. Just push up a bit. Yes, yeah, that's good. So here, bhikshu, a monk, has learned or heard that nothing is worth clinging to. And having thus learned that nothing is worth clinging to, he directly knows all things. Having directly known all things, he fully understands everything. Having fully understood everything, he sees all signs as other. Here, signs means whatever comes to the mind, right? So again, don't just take it as a technical word meaning something you see in meditation. It just means whatever object arises in the mind. Even outside of meditation, he sees the ear as other, right? The ear is never the same. Our ears also change. We see the different ears, different people, for example, okay? He sees sounds. Okay, here he sees sounds. That's strange, isn't it? We hear sound, right? But that's not the sense here. He sees, here see as a higher level or deeper level. In other words, he understands sound. He sees through the wisdom eye, sound as other. The sounds are not what really it is. It is something else. What is it something else? Find out for yourself. Okay, maybe write something about it. Maybe write to me on my Facebook or Telegram if it's something interesting to know. He sees ear consciousness as other. He sees ear contact as other. Right? So the moment something happens, then something else follows after that. Whatever that is pleasant or painful or neutral that arises on account of ear contact as condition, that too he sees as other. Even the feeling also changes as other. Next, smells. Here, bhikshu, the monk has learned or heard that nothing is worth clinging to. And having thus learned that nothing is worth clinging to, he directly knows all things. We go further down. He sees the nose as other. Nose is gana. He sees smells as other. Smell is ganda. He sees nose consciousness as other. Gana vijnana. He sees nose contact as other. Gana sampasa. Whatever that is pleasant or painful or neutral that arises on account of nose contact as condition, that too he sees as other. It is not what we think it is. It is something else. And then something else and something else keeps changing. That's how we learn things. Nothing is fixed. 4. Here, bhikshus, the monk has learned that nothing is worth clinging to. And having thus learned that nothing is worth clinging to, he directly knows all things. Having directly known all things, he understands everything. Having fully understood everything, he sees all things as other. Once again, Pali here, Sutta, S-U-T-A, 1T, and then directly knows, Abhijanati, fully understands, Parijanati, and then he sees, Pasati, right? From Pasati you get Pasati. He has insight into something, right? So you learn something, third-hand knowledge, and then you directly know it for yourself, then you understand it deeper, and then you truly see it, right? So this see, all this see here, the meaning is to understand, all right? Except in the case of number 1, the eye, the see that has got both a sense of seeing with the eye as well as understanding. Now, next we go on to, okay, I continue here. He sees the tongue as other. Notice, you eat something, you taste it, it's very nice, and after a while, the taste is gone. You see tongue consciousness as other. You see tongue contact as other. Whatever that is pleasant or painful or neutral that arises on account of tongue contact as condition, that too he sees as other. Now, next is the body. Okay, here, bhikshu, a monk has learned or heard that nothing is worth clinging to, and having thus learned that nothing is worth clinging to, he directly knows all things. Having directly known all things, he fully understands everything. Having fully understood everything, he sees all things as other. right? So what is it that is other here? He sees the body as other. Never has there been 2 moments your body is the same. Our body is changing, aging. Of course, you see more clearly over the years, but it's changing. He sees touches or feelings in this case as other. Feeling also change. You feel the same thing, then you get numb, right? So feelings change. He sees body consciousness as other. He sees body contact as other. Whatever that is pleasant or painful or neutral that arises on account of body contact as condition, that too he sees as other. Right? Feelings is other. So now we come to the last one, the mind. Here, bhikshus, the monk has learned or heard that nothing is worth clinging to. And having thus learned that nothing is worth clinging to, he directly knows all things. Having directly known all things, he fully understands everything. Having fully understood everything, he sees all signs as other. He sees the mind as other, right? Even our own mind is never the same for 2 moments. You could consider other minds also, other people's minds. He sees mind object, dhamma, as other. Like, so you see the word dhamma also means mind object. Whatever the mind thinks, imagine, and so on, dreams, no? Whatever arises in the mind also becomes other, change. He sees mind consciousness, other. He sees mind contact as other. Further down. Go down, yeah. Whatever that is pleasant or painful or neutral that arises on account of mind contact as condition, that too he sees as other, right? The feeling towards our mental contents also becomes other, non-self. Bhikshus, when a monk knows and sees thus, ignorance is abandoned by him and true knowledge arises. So this is how we truly see things as they are. Something for us to reflect on. Right? And this is so simple yet so beautiful. Okay, now I will end here. And we have a few minutes, about 10 minutes of question time.
Thank you, Piya. Sadhu for the teaching. Now we have our Q&A. Sister Isim will help us. Sister Isim, please.
Thank you, Sister Pahana. Sadhu Bhante Piya for the Sutta teaching. The first question from Sister Phyllis.
Okay.
What is the significant importance to dwell contemplating the feeling instead of just contemplating?
Well, you can do either one. Whatever happens, you use it. It's hard to say which is better. Something you do not understand yet is more interesting when you contemplate it and then you see new things, right? So there are different aspects of experience. And we go through them. We should not just stop at one. Of course, we can spend your time at one aspect and then look deeper to it to see what's the meaning. In other words, how it connects with the previous step and then the next step. Okay, so don't just stop at one aspect only. See the big picture, right? That's how the Buddha did. He saw the big picture, so he didn't just do one practice. He said, oh, I remember when I was a 7-year-old child, I meditated, I was very happy. There must be the middle way. And that's how we found the middle way and then became Buddha. Okay. All right. Any other question?
Thank you, Bhante Piya. The second question from Sister Phyllis.
Yes.
When ignorance is abandoned, why is Buddha using true knowledge arises? Shouldn't the wisdom should arise instead for awakening to happen?
It's the same. The words are different, but you can call it wisdom also if you like. Here, because the nature of language, when you say vijjā, you use avijjā. So you can see the connection there. All right. If we say vijjā, panya, and moha, a bit more difficult to remember. Here you see that these words as connection. There's a similarity in sound. It's like music, then you connect them better together. Right? So you notice, if you have the Pali and you chant all those, what is seen in English is chanted in Pali, you can see there is a certain musical flow of it. Someone did a study on it and wrote a whole book, on how the different words they progress differently, but there's always something connecting them. Okay. So
Okay, thank you,
vijjā,
Brother.
avijjā, yes.
The next question from Brother Tom Anderson.
Yes.
On the first page of today's Sutta, in what way Bhante in brief is in English? This seems very rude. Is it rude or just a way of speaking?
Which word is that? Sorry.
On the first page of today's Sutta,
Yes.
he mentioned is in what way Bhante, then comma in brief comma is that sentence.
Uh-huh. You want me to explain the first line, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, in what way, Bhante? In brief.
Yeah, he mentioned that in English, this seems very rude. Is it rude or just a way of speaking?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is very interesting because it's a very common idiom in Pali, once you read this, this monk is asking for a meditation practice. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we are hinting at someone who says something a long-winded way, and then we tell this person, usually it's a friend, and we say, can you briefly tell us? Right? It's the tone, but so that's not the tone Moggallana will use. Moggallana will be asking very mindfully. In fact, most of the monks who are going for meditation retreat, they will go to the Buddha and they say, Bhante, please give me a teaching in brief. Here, of course, it's a bit clearer. It says, please give me a teaching in brief. Here, because the in brief is just an adverb, sounds little, in modern English, seems to be rude. The usual phrase is a teaching in brief. Because the Buddha is not going to give a long lecture, but this monk is already know a lot of things. So now the Buddha is going to give him a kind of special instruction, the teaching to reflect on for his meditation, during the meditation retreat, something to begin with. So that's the in brief. It is a tool he will use for his reflection leading to deeper meditation. That is the meaning of Sankitena in brief. So Sankitena in Pali is a very beautiful word. Sankitena, the opposite is vitara, meaning elaborated. Okay. So it doesn't have the English idea of being, trying to hint to someone, look, you talk really a lot, and the Buddha does talk a lot. So Moggallana is not hinting at all. Say, oh Lord, you talk so much, please give me a few words on this. No, that's not what it means. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Piya. There's no more question in the chat box.
All right. We have about 5-6 minutes more.
Any brother and sister would like to ask verbally?
Brother Piya, this is Liu Gyok here.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Sorry, I start my video.
It's okay.
Your eyes is okay now.
Functioning.
I thought you wanted to elaborate on the word other, anyato.
Yeah. Well, I did.
You did. I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, it's okay. It's all there. It's just that it is so woven together with all the teaching that you wonder, when does it start, when does it end? That's the thing about this word anyato, other. Okay. Whatever, I think a practical experience is better here. Whatever you look in front of you now on the screen, right? You say, oh, this is a picture of so-and-so, maybe a picture of Piya, but it's not me. Those are just computer pixels, little dots, right? It's me because you have seen me before, all right? Maybe, let's say, if I'm to visit some of you overseas in other countries, when you see me in person, you say, hey, he looks different, maybe he looks younger, he looks older. We always have that kind of other feeling. So in daily life, we have this experience of other. This other means that is how experience works. We see change in things. All right. It means secondly, what you expect doesn't seem to turn out that way. Something else, right? And then in the end, we have to let it go. Like the breath, it comes in, it goes out, right? So other here is a shorthand for non-self. The three characteristics together, if you like, the different aspects of the characteristics. Okay. So anyway, there is a section here on other. You can read it again. Section 2, the meaning of anyato. Now you can, after hearing this, you can read it again in your own free time. It might give you deeper insight. Okay. Basically, it deals with the three characteristics, especially the characteristic of non-self. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Any brother and sister would like to ask the final question? It's 9:26.
Well, let me just briefly give you my latest situation with my eye operation. First of all, I'd like to thank all those who have helped us, donated in various ways. It's made possible my operation. Because, as you know, I've already done the first operation for the retina, and that little piece of skin has been peeled off, and so that's one thing already done. And that specialist say, okay, I'm discharged. Now, my glaucoma is still there. So as we age, this glaucoma can either become worse or it's just remain stable. Then you don't get cured from glaucoma. Your eyesight never gets better. It's just that the doctor says we prevent any worsening of the sight. And I noticed if you have a deep interest, a deep love for Dhamma, yeah, that you see more clearly because you want to see, right? You don't want to see, of course, you won't see, right? None are so blind, those who will not see, right? So here, my second operation is next month, middle of next month, and they're going to put a little stent, a little what's called an implant in my eyes to help the vitreous fluid, the fluid in the eye flow more consistently, and the pressure will become normal. Then I don't need eye drops anymore. Ideally, no eye drops, maybe one or two in some cases. So hopefully it works that way, and that will help in some way for me to maintain my eyes health. It's quite a complicated operation. It will take about 45 to 90 minutes, and I'll be totally under general anesthesia. So this one is the really expensive one, and this is what is possible because you all have helped it, and that's why we could make this choice. So I'd like to inform you and thank you all for your help in this case. Yeah, and of course after that I'll need about 6 weeks of kind of a relaxed state. I could have grown weight, I think. Probably after a couple of weeks, I'll be able to come back and talk to you online again. It's just that I won't be able to do the exercises for at least the previous time was about 6 weeks, the previous operation. So that's about the time, 4 months to 6 weeks, because we don't want the eye to be hurt in the process of doing vigorous exercise. We do walking. Walking is okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions? So notice this Sutta.
There's no question.
Yeah.
I think there's no more question, Brother Piya.
Okay. That's good. All right. So I hope you found this Sutta, although simple yet profound, something for you to reflect on. In fact, the Sutta study doesn't end here. It begins here, right? Your path to wisdom begins here by reflecting on it. So now is your turn to cultivate that. Remember the word abhijanati, parijanati, and pasati. That is to know and fully understand, to see for yourself. All right. Now let's have a group photo before we close. So once again, remember, today we have looked at this wonderful sutta, which is another window we can look through and see this beautiful Dhamma garden. We see this beautiful bright light outside. Remember this moment, how we have taken refuge, spoken all the three of just 5 precepts, and we have done our meditation, and we have cultivated some wisdom, sila, samadhi, panya. Remember this moment by the power of all this goodness. Think of all the good things, all the metta and loving kindness to yourself, that you'll be healthy and your mind will be calm and clear so that you grow in wisdom. And then send those kind thoughts to others too. Those are important to you wherever they are, that they may be well and happy. And also now, to close, we will show our gratitude to the Buddhas, our teacher, the Dhamma, the teaching that we aspire to follow, and the Sangha, the path that we are inspired to reach in this life itself. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.